The critical word Robert Haynes used, as far as I'm concerned, team, he said 3 times, mentioned the word balance. And when you look at this team, we were saying it when we were doing the live broadcast, Lance, along with Wayne Lewis, that with 6 specialist batsmen, 2 specialist spinners, 4 fast bowlers, 2 specialist openers, maybe looking for the best combination, maybe there is a slight imbalance in the squad. Maybe that there is that, even though, as Haynes said, the selection panel strove to find that balance. What say you?
Well, the term balance, I don't know if he meant balance in the sense of just bowlers and batsmen, or in the sense that he was trying to integrate the younger players with some of the more experienced players. So that we would have to clarify.
Well, if you have a 15-man squad and it's really 5 specialist batsmen. You could say 6 because they're including Nicholas Pooran as a wicketkeeper batsman, but I wouldn't consider, in pure terms, Nicholas Pooran a specialist batsman. Well, not so far in his career. So there may be some reliance here on the all-rounders providing a lot of batting strength to the team, players like Holder and so on, because if you look at it on straight batting specialists, then 5 specialist batsmen in a 15-man squad, you may look a little short on batting. So I think there's a significant hope and dependence on the all-rounders in the squad to stand up and score runs.
And that's a good place to pivot from, to invite the Cricket West Indies President Ricky Skerritt to the discussion. Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Pleasure to be with you.
Good. It's our pleasure to have you with us. And so, to the issue of balance, President, the selectors, I'm sure, would, looking at what they had at their disposal, the players who were available for selection based on fitness and other considerations, they were striving to get that balanced 15-man squad. From your perspective, do you think they did the best job possible?
Well, George, first of all, I'm surprised that you'll be asking me to comment on selection because I have made it very, very clear that we're removing the administrators and the politicians from the selection process, and that we are given the responsibility to the cricketers or the former cricketers, and especially giving them the authority to make the decisions. And so if you're asking me if I'm pleased that the process went well, I will say from the little that I know of the process, it went very well. I'm not going to comment on the team because, to be honest with you, I'm just finding out the team now. I'm in Trinidad where I'm doing some additional meetings and a bunch of important things that does not relate to the selection of the team. But I am confident that the 3 gentlemen would have carried out the policy, and once they have done that, they're going to end up with the best team possible.
And that's where the question was, President Skerritt, because clearly, I wouldn't want to drag you into the area of commenting on individual player selection and whether you felt he or him was selected on merit. What I was saying was that based on what you set out at your maiden press conference, the direction you wanted, the direction you were demanding your selectors to go in, the things that they should consider, the changing of the old style, the old criteria, and if there was any single criterion that had made play relations difficult
George,
in the past. Yes.
Especially the engagement with all players, those who were going to be looked at, those who won selection and those who didn't, that they are ensuring that there's a conversation taking place with as many players as possible so that these players understand what the process is, what they're looking for, and they can get the information from the players firsthand and not have to worry about third hand and gossip and hearsay.
Yes.
And so that players would have that opportunity to engage with the selectors.
The issue of the squad that will play that tri-series being hosted by the Irish, and how we thought, to be fair, Cricket West Indies didn't say so, we thought, logical thinking, that the gentlemen who were called for that Irish jaunt would have been given a chance or had a chance to play themselves into the 15. Given what Jimmy said today at the press conference, that this is the 15-man squad, what does that mean for those who've been selected for Ireland? Is there any opening for them to force the selectors to again look to see who they can shuffle in or out by the May 23 deadline for the final squad submission?
Well, excellent question. When I visited the camp on the opening day, which was a week ago on Monday, that was one of the comments that I made very, very clear to the players themselves, that because of the way the ICC had structured the deadlines, it would be necessary to announce the World Cup squad, and that some of them who had been picked for the tri-series in Ireland may not get selected for that squad. And in the event that they didn't, the selectors had informed me that they would all be considered as sort of reserves, standby, whatever you want to call them. I don't know if they announced that today. Maybe they didn't.
No, they didn't.
But those players automatically become reserves should anything happen to one of those World Cup players before the final deadline for the team, I think, is the 23rd of May. So I think teams can be changed up to that point without too much trouble.
Yes.
But again, you have to forgive me, I'm not really getting into the details of those kinds of situations.
Very well. May I ask you, President Skerritt, about the pulse of that relationship between the players and your administration now, because you've made much of the fact that you were going to do some things different where engagement with the players were concerned. We know that certain players who aren't in the 15 were actually called and spoken to and asked their thoughts, and the conversation ended with them being told that, well, we're not going to look in your direction at this time. But overall, do you sense that the players recognize that this is a clean slate, a clean start, and that they also have a role to play in ensuring that the engagement remains positive going forward?
Well, look, players who have been in a career for, let's say, 10 or more years, they will never see it as a clean start. They will still have, obviously, some suspicions and some lack of trust. Those things don't go away overnight. The younger players might be excited about it a little bit more and might be, quicker to take to it, but it will take time. Players will learn that the people who are making decisions about their career and their form and their fitness and so are professionals who used to be out in the middle like them and who understand the emotions and the expectations and so on. It's always a disappointment when a player, no matter how seasoned he might be or she might be, when they find out that they haven't been selected, especially if they're getting on in their careers. It's always an anxiety filled emotion that you get. Some people handle it better than others. I mean, I have been in a situation as a manager where I had to console players.
Yes.
It's always something that is awkward for professionals to deal with, but the more professional you are about it, and if you begin to trust the people who are making those decisions, then it just makes it that little easier to deal with.
Yeah. One final one before we let you go, President Skerritt. The recent, word coming out that there were some people who, according to them and their legal representatives, the way they were separated from their posts at Cricket West Indies was improper, and we hear talk of legal action. Simple question for you. Are you satisfied that in all those cases, Cricket West Indies acted properly and is on firm footing with the decisions made?
Well, look, I have not had a brief recently on any legal situations. There's a lot of talk in the media and a lot of speculation. And, I'm not inclined to speak too much about any of that at the moment. What I will say is that each situation would have been handled on its own merit. And it is absolutely no intention to make things more difficult for any past player than it needs to be. Whatever the perceptions, whatever the beliefs, we are about cricket, we are about helping players, we're about helping past players, we're about inclusiveness. We want past players involved in developing cricket and providing services of different kinds. If somebody is not used now as a selector, it doesn't mean they can't be used later as something else. If somebody is not used now as a coach, it doesn't mean they can't be used later as a selector or some other kind of professional in cricket. So we are not trying to burn any bridges with anybody. And but lawyers will be lawyers and cricketers will be cricketers.
Hear you on that. Thank you very much for your time, sir. All the best.
Pleasure. Take care.
Good.